Yo YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy SalvationsElite, and we are back at it again with another video, guys. And today, man, the top 5 most underrated players of Black Ops 4. Just kind of show some love and some support and some appreciation for some of the guys who were kind of flying under the radar for some of the year or all of the year. And you know, just showing the love to some of the guys who deserve it the most. All right, so that's what we're doing today. Obviously, there's been a ton of news these last few days, like just tons of news. Rostermania, MLG, obviously the news about Adam Apicella. I might talk about that in a video tomorrow or something like that. But it just really sucks. College football is this weekend, baby. It's insane. So hyped that football's finally back. I've been pretty busy doing fantasy drafts, getting ready for Husker football season. I've been posting a lot on my other page. If you guys happen to be Husker fans, as you guys can see up there, if you guys happen to be Husker fans, I've got another page, Backseat Sports, where me and a buddy, Caleb, talk about Husker football, predict it, do all the stuff around Husker football. So if you guys are interested in that, go follow, support it. I appreciate it. And the channel's been doing really well, so I've been really happy about that as well leading up into the season. But with that said, finally, the top 5 most underrated players of Black Ops 4. And coming in at number 5 is, I would say, a guy who was not underrated at the beginning, but got underrated by the end. And that's Skyz. Skyz has been a beast all year long, and like he was dominating at the beginning of the season. As you guys can see here, I'm throwing up the stats again with these player profiles. Shout out to Reddit. But like he was dominating. Look at that, 1.31 at London, 1.25 at Anaheim, and he played well throughout the rest of the year as well. 1.13s, a total of a 1.12 overall. Even though it didn't work out for LG as a whole, Skyz was a beast with the ICR in hand, doing his job and playing his role to a T. I don't think he's gotten the full amount of love that he deserves for how well he played for LG. Even though he's young, he's got so much ahead of him going into his career. He's going to be a beast moving forward, and I'm excited to see what he can do. And he's definitely worthy of the 5th spot here on the most underrated players of Black Ops 4. So this was a tough one. I wasn't sure if he was counted as underrated or not, but I'm just going to say he hasn't got the publicity he deserves, whether or not that's underrated or not. At the end of the day, at number 4 is Celium. I mean, he's an absolute monster. I mean, look at this. He started off the year a little poorly at London, 0.99. Nothing, like, that's not embarrassing, though. I mean, my goodness, it was his first event. And then look at what he did. 1.23, 1.23, 1.03, and then 1.25 at Champs. Went off when it mattered the most. He showed throughout the whole year that he can be an absolute monster. Like, look at that damage per round in Search and Destroy. First of all, that's absolutely insane. And I mean, his stats all over the board, above average. And I forgot to even preface this before the video, but stats don't mean everything. I'm just using this as a good like cornerstone for just a visual to show that he was playing well throughout the year. Again, stats don't mean everything. So like just because you have a 1.1 versus a 1.2, that doesn't mean that that guy's necessarily better or worse. It's just all a matter of perspective and really going into the film and really checking out how these guys play. But regardless, Celium's a beast. I mean, he's a young guy. Again, this is his rookie season. He was, you know, he should be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year, but there just happens to be this one guy that kind of deserves to be the Rookie of the Year. But Celium deserves to be in the conversation right behind Simp, and he was an absolute beast for FaZe. And they made the right choice bringing him up, and he 100% proved himself to be that good and to live up to the hype. So Celium, I'm sure he's gonna have an incredible career the rest of the way. I'm pumped to see what he can do in Modern Warfare. So at number 3, this is another guy who I wasn't sure if he was necessarily underrated, but at the beginning of the year, he was really hated on because of his switches from SMG to Maddox. It's Kenny. Kenny is number 3 most underrated players of Black Ops 4. I mean, he came out and in Champs, he kind of showed who he was. He said, yo, I'm Kenny. I'm gonna fry these kids, and dropped a 1.17 at Champs. But besides that, he was, you know, statistically not the best year. I mean, 1.05 at London, a solid 1.18 at Anaheim, a 101 in the Pro League, a 0.94 in the finals or the league finals. But I just think what he did for 100 Thieves was so valuable, and how he played was still really great, even though the stats didn't necessarily show it. And again, at Champs, he showed he still has that slaying potential, and he can still be the best player on the map. And I mean, it was just a weird flip of the script for Kenny. I mean, he's so young. He was the Rookie of the Year during World War II. So good on TK all year long last year. He comes out, is hyped for 100 Thieves, but the SMG or the SOG's just not working for him. He switches to Maddox, starts figuring out that role, and he ends the year really, really well. So that's kind of why I think he fits in the underrated portion of players. I know some of you might think this is pretty ironic because a lot of you wanted Kenny to be in my top 10 players of Black Ops 4. The reason why I didn't put him there is because most of the guys who I put in that list were so good from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Kenny had a few inconsistent moments, but he ironed it out, especially once he started getting used to the Maniaks and started playing really, really well. So that was why I didn't have Kenny in the top 10 players. Trust me, he was right on the edge. He would have been 11th or 12th, but you know, he ends up here on the top 5 most underrated. So the next player on the list is a guy who I think was really underrated this year. He might deserve to be number 1 on this list, but he's coming in at number 2, and that's Maux, Gen G's beast. Maux was such a solid player for Gen G all year long because he never was the superstar. He never was Envoy. Envoy took the spotlight all year long, but Maux, I mean, Major Mania, I mean, all the guys on that team were really good. You don't finish second twice without having some really, really good players on the roster. But I think Maux was so underrated by the masses this year. In my mind, he was near a top 10 player. He could have been 11th, 12th, 13th. I just think he deserves a lot more praise than he gets, but he's actually been playing for a while. I mean, he teamed with Silly in Black Ops 3 back in the day, so like he's been going for a while, and I'm gonna be really interested to see what all these Gen G guys do during Modern Warfare, because again, they have the potential to be so good, man. I would have loved to see them win an event. It's unfortunate that their champs or their season had to end like it did at champs. I mean, again, as you guys can see, he had a .91 at champs. I mean, he was great throughout the rest of the year. Besides that, still finished with a .12 on the year. Maux is a really good player, second most underrated player in the league. So coming in at number 1, this is actually one, this is gonna be, it's ironic because I feel like I underestimated him throughout this year as well. I mean, in my rankings, my tiers rankings videos earlier in the year, I had him lower. I can't remember, maybe in the okay category, the good category, when he could have been in the great category potentially. That player is Attach. Attach has been really, really good this year. Evil Geniuses, though not performing as great as they would have loved, Attach has been playing great Attach has been playing great all year long. And you see the stats. I mean, besides London, where he had a .96, I mean, Anaheim, Pro League, CWL Finals, Champs, solid KDs all around. I mean, the Pro League Finals, 1.35, that's insane. And a .27 at Anaheim. Obviously, they've had their struggles here with FaZe not making the Pro League and then, you know, all that stuff. So, Attach has kind of had a rough year. Anyone who was on FaZe originally kind of had a rough year this year. But Attach played great all year long, and that whole FaZe thing kind of created this underestimated vibe or this underrated vibe because of what happened with FaZe. I mean, if you look at his stats, he was above average in basically every single category for the most part, and just a solid player all year long. Great for Evil Geniuses, and he comes in at number 1 of the most underrated players of Black Ops 4. So this video is not as long, you know, so it's pretty easy to get through. I just wanted to do it because I thought it was, after doing the top 10 players, I think it was only fitting to do some of the most underrated players. Drop anyone who you think's underrated down in the comments below, and I'll be surfing the comments, replying to you guys as well. But as always, guys, I really appreciate you guys' support. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, like, comment, and subscribe. Share it if you guys really enjoy it. I really, really do appreciate it as always. But as always, guys, I'm your voice, SalvationsElite, and we will see you next time. I'm out.